What's up, guys? My name is Ryan, and I'm going to be coming at you for the rest of the Wednesdays in October to talk about developing the art of neighboring. And today with us, we've got Michaela, our kids minister. She is a great neighbor, and she's got a lot of tips for us. And so, Michaela, do you remember when the pandemic first started? Things were crazy. Everyone was afraid. We didn't know what to believe. But there is a strange thing going on where everyone's world got a lot smaller.
Right, we were outside walking every day.
Yeah, it was a great spring.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm sure you guys experienced this, but we just met so many of our neighbors that we have never met before. And not only that, we were a lot more intentional with them, right? We would go on walks and we would say, hey, who are you? Hey, do you guys need any toilet paper? We've got some. Or hey, do you guys have any Ziploc bags? We need that, right? Because we were not going to the grocery store.
Right.
And so we all relied on one another a lot more.
Yeah.
And what we guys want you to know today is that that was not just this pandemic social experiment, but what we experienced this spring in terms of neighboring was actually how Jesus calls us as believers to neighbor every day, right? It wasn't just this social experiment, because what we see in Jeremiah, if you look all the way back in the Old Testament, the Israelites have been exiled to Babylon, right? They've been conquered. They're taken to a foreign land. They're kind of treated as these second-class citizens, and this is God's advice to them. It is not to separate yourself or not to be antagonists in this place, but rather he tells them to seek the welfare of the place that he has put them in, right? We read this in Jeremiah 29:7. But seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf. For in its welfare, you will find your welfare.
That was really good. And you know what? We hear about this not just in the Old Testament, but also in the New Testament in Luke 10:27. He answered, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all of your soul and with all of your strength and with all of your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself.
So this is what we get both in the Old and New Testaments, is that the places that we inhabit are not solely for our benefit, right? We spend a lot of time talking about property values, school districts, commute times, apartment amenities, which dorm has the bigger rooms, right? We think about all these things, and those are great things. It would be irresponsible of us not to think about them. But we also, on the flip side, have to put equal weight to see, how do I bring about the welfare of the place where God has placed me? How am I to love my neighbors intentionally where God has placed me? That holds equal weight compared to what we get from living where we live. And so what we want to focus on today is kind of shift this paradigm of like, hey, where we live isn't just for us. It's part of it, but we are for where we live. So how do we do that? And today we want to say the simple first step of seeking the welfare of where God has placed you and loving your neighbor as yourself is learning who lives around you. Who are your neighbors, right? Easy first step.
Right. That makes me think of our dogs get out of our house all the time. They run all over the neighborhood.
So do our children.
But it gives us a good opportunity because most of the time our neighbors are the ones that catch our dogs. And so then that opens up a gateway for us to meet our neighbors. Now, is it a good thing that our dogs get out? Absolutely not.
It's a great segue into starting a relationship.
Right, but we have.
And you start with a deficit, so already I'm going to bring you cookies now.
Right, because we feel really bad. But we have gotten to know our neighbors across the street very well because our dogs get out all the time, and then they want to have play dates with all of our dogs, and so then we learn their names, and then learn more about them.
Yeah, that's the thing. This isn't something revolutionary that says we have this great tactic. It's simply being more intentional to meet the people that live around you. Now, for the Jameses, this is as easy as instead of playing in the backyard, we try to play in the front yard when our kids, we don't play, our kids play in the front yard. Or, trying to meet our neighbors and say, hey, we've got some teenagers next door. When I go out of town, getting the teenagers to take out the trash. Or one of them to say, hey, come over here and babysit our kids, which is great for us. They give a service to us. They watch our kids. But also, when we get back from the date, we linger and talk to them and get to show them who Jesus is.
I think being present and not just coming in your house and locking your front door or shutting your garage door. Just saying, hey, we're home and we're available and we want to get to know you.
Right. Actually inhabiting the places that you live, not just living there. And so we have an exercise for you guys. You ready? So get ready. Grab a pen, grab some paper, a napkin, whatever you got. We got this exercise. So check this out. So in this diagram, there are 9 spaces. Step 1, check out that first square in the middle. That's where I want you to write your name, draw your house, whatever that denotes where you live. Next, check out the 8 squares that surround that. Those 8 squares represent the 8 people who live around you. Now, this might be the rooms on the floor in your dorm, this might be the apartments in your building, or this might be your neighbors in homes on your street or in your cul-de-sac, wherever you live. And hey, this might be, you might live way out in the country and you say, hey, I don't have 8 people that live around me. Just think in the 5-mile square radius. Who lives around you? So, start filling that in from memory if you can, who you know that lives around you. So that's your homework this week. Find the names of the 8 people who live around you.
Right, and Ryan, we still live in a pandemic world, and
True
so
that.
this Sunday at church, I want you guys to grab this door hanger that we have, or a few, and fill it out and put it on your neighbor's front door. Get your kids to fill one out, your parents, grandparents. Go for a walk, and then put it on people's houses all around you that
Yeah.
say, hey, this is who we are, we care about you, hang in there.
Great way to meet your neighbors. So again, that's your homework. Meet 8 of your neighbors this week. You guys are going to do great at developing the art of neighboring. I believe in you. Let's seek the welfare of where God has placed us. See you next week.